So I want to start by saying thank you so much for inviting me to this meeting and give a talk. It seems like such a great initiative that you have going on. So thank you. I already told you what I do at the Netherlands eScience Center and what that is, so I don't have to say it now. So you might already know the Research Software Directory, because I think Julian Spax was also part of your group. And wait, I need to minimize this window, otherwise I don't see my slides. So it has been around for several years already, but the Research Software Directory, or the RSD as we call it, and I will call it now for the rest of the presentation, it was initially developed as a prototype for internal use at the eScience Center, so just for our software, because research software is our main output as a research center. But we got a lot of interest from outside, and people kept asking, like, can we also put our software in there, and it looks great and we want to use it. So then we decided to develop it as a service for other researchers, RCs, and organizations. And so we developed the new RSD over the course of last year. Somewhere midway, the Helmholtz Association of Germany, so Germany's largest research organization with something like 18 research institutes, they knocked on our virtual door, and they said, well, we actually want to use it as well for our entire organization. So can we help with the development to speed up the process, because they were in a hurry. So that was really wonderful, and we worked on it together with them for the rest of the year, which allowed us to do much more than we initially planned. So then at the end of last year, we had our launch, and so now it's available as a free online service. So the picture shows the landing page of the RSD. Hang on, I'm trying to go to the next slide. Yes. So the RSD is a registry which enables RCs, researchers, to show the impact their software has. It also allows organizations to showcase the research software that their organization produces. It helps researchers to find research software they need to do their research. And it also encourages citation of research software and in other research outputs. So those are the sort of the four main aims of our particular service. And I think something that is kind of a defining feature of the RSD is that it shows a lot of context and impact of the research software. So I'll quickly walk you through a typical software page, and I'll show you these different elements of this context. So first, there's this basic information. There's the name and description of the software. There's a link to an external web page. And then there's a more detailed description, some keywords, also the link to the source code repository. Then there's also these more community aspects and activity aspects. So there's a count of contributors on the top. You can see the development activity, which is harvested from GitHub, and also the participating organizations, so the collaborating organizations on that software. There's a blog with citation information, which is harvested from Zenodo, which allows also for citation of different versions. And this is, again, important for this academic context. There's this whole section with mentions where you can highlight the mentions of the software. So, for example, papers or data sets or related blogs. And also below, you can add an entire list of all these mentions. Then there's a section of testimonials, and also a list of all the contributors, and where we also link to their ORCIDs where possible, contact person, and finally you can also add related projects where the software is developed or used. This is also, you can enter these projects also in the RSD. So we have a user-friendly data curation interface. So users can create an account. They can get access via the ORCID or via their institutional login details if they're a Dutch university with access for their institution. So the interface is, I think, easy to use without technical knowledge, because we never get questions about how to use the interface. So I think that's a good sign. And where we can, we automate data collection when possible. And we mostly do that via using persistent identifiers. So entering an ORCID, we'll search the ORCID database and autocomplete or DOI for papers or other sources. We also use the ROR database for organizations. So we're trying to automate as much as possible, and we're still working on this to improve it. But a lot of it already works. So this is an overview of all the data sources that we harvest for this automation of information ingestion. So some of them I already mentioned. We also, for example, harvest from GitHub, Zenodo, Crossref, DataSite, etc. So as I mentioned, it's an online multi-tenant service. So multiple organizations and multiple users can use it. So on the left, you see a few of the many organizations that are now using it. Several Dutch research institutions, but for example, also the Digital Research Alliance of Canada is using it now. And on the right, you see an example page of the software overview of one organization, in this case, Utrecht University, which is the largest university of the Netherlands. So finally, I just want to show you the teams and also thank the teams. So the top row, you see our team at the Netherlands eScience Center, our technology lead, Jason Maaike, and our developers. You also see the team at Helmholtz, who have done a lot of the development as well. And I also wanted to mention teams at several universities who have not helped with the development per se, but they have provided a lot of useful feedback during the development phase. So that was it. Here are our contact details, websites, etc., so that you can find us if you need us. Thank you.
I have a question. So do you require code deposit? Does code have to be deposited with your resource?
So no. So nothing is deposited in the RSD. So we just harvest information from code that's deposited somewhere else, but you don't have to have it deposited somewhere that's harvestable. But the service works much better if it can actually, for example, it works best if it's in GitHub or GitLab, and then we can harvest the information and display all that information that I just showed. But it doesn't have to be. So it can be closed, even it can be closed source, or you don't have to be able to access the code.
Okay, so the Zenodo DOIs that you're minting are to your records, not necessarily to the underlying GitHub repo?
No, so we're not minting DOIs ourselves.
Okay.
So the workflow we base this on, because that's the workflow we have at the eScience Center, is that we all work on GitHub, we all publish on Zenodo, get the DOIs, and then that gets harvested by the RSD. And now this is also possible for GitLab.
Okay, but if the code is somewhere else, then what do you do?
Then so by now opening it up to other researchers, this is one of the things we run into. of course, not everybody works the way like the eScience Center works. And yes, sometimes there are no DOIs for,
Okay.
yeah. So this is something, yeah, then you still get basic information on the page,
Yeah.
but a lot of it, yeah, can't be automatically harvested. Yeah.
Okay, so the DOI is for the software itself. It's not for the record in your, so you're not minting them
No.
for the record. Okay.
Yeah, correct, correct. It's for the software itself. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And I see, so Daniel has a question. I see Hervé does too, but I'm not sure whether he's on the phone or not. So Hervé?
I am. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Sorry. Your hand was up first.
Yeah, that's yeah, no worries. So my first question was regarding the impact of the software. How do you showcase this impact? I know, you know, that a major concern for software developers in academia is to prove, to demonstrate the impact of their work. And I was wondering what kind of metrics you use for that.
Yeah, this is a great question. And so currently we're using, it's more qualitative impact. So we're showing, okay, how often, you know, and how many papers is the software cited. We show testimonials. So it's really qualitative, but we're thinking very hard also with others in projects on how to make this more quantitative. And it's of course a difficult thing to solve, but you know, we have to make small steps toward it. So we are starting to think about, really metrics to include there. I think we will just experiment a little bit with it. We have some ideas. For example, a combined metric based on stars or forks on GitHub or downloads at the source where the source code can be downloaded. So if we can harvest that information, we can show that as more quantitative metrics, but it's definitely something that, well, it's early stages. Yeah. Okay.
Well, thank you. Just quickly, two very quick questions. The data you have on the research software directory, is it published under an open license? What is the ownership and distribution policy here?
I think it's open. So we share only what we also harvest that's already open. But we are currently developing our APIs. So it's not, you know, we're not there yet to have a really proper API that is easy to use. This is something that we're still developing a little bit. And I have to see, yeah, I have to check with Jason what the license is for the rest of the information. But I think what we do is only share information openly that's already open anyway. For example, what we harvest from open sources.
Okay, thank you. Very quick last question. I'm sorry. The data model for the research software directory, is it based on CodeMeta or CodeMeta plus extension, or is it something different but interoperable with CodeMeta?
So again, this is something we are figuring out at the moment. So we are talking with you know, different partners, organizations, to make sure that the way we exchange the data is, you know, adheres to international standards as much as possible. And that's also one of the things I really want to do when I'm at the RDA next week. So talk to people who can help us with that. Yeah, but we're not there yet. Yes.
Thank you.
Those are good questions. Daniel, I know you have some.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, first, congrats, because I think the UI and everything around the research software directory is very cool. So it's very eye-catching, you know? And also this ability to see the software mentions is incredibly useful. So I wanted to ask, do you also have any linkage against software heritage records with, because I see that you have the DOIs, but do you also have the software heritage IDs for some of these records for software, or not yet?
Not yet, but it's definitely high on our list to talk with Software Heritage about this. We are, of course, aware, and it has come up already several times. And I think it would be really nice, yeah, to explore together, like how we can include this. Yes. Yeah. So I will come to Moran next week.
Right. Then my second question is, who maintains the records? Are the respective organizations in charge, or do they have to nominate some
Yeah, that's a really
of curating?
Yeah, that's a really good question as well. So I think originally it was just very flat. We just, you know, the people who added the records could maintain it. But partly due also to the involvement of Helmholtz, who have more of a hierarchical situation in their organization. We also have defined different roles, and for example, admin roles, where people higher up in the organization can have an admin role. It doesn't have to be, but they can, where they can actually review records and adjust them. Yes. But in principle, the way we use it ourselves is just that everybody, all the RSCs, just edit their own records. Yeah, but definitely, so the admin role is possible, and it's enabled.
And the final question I was going to ask is in the line of what Hervé was saying, which in this consortium we were describing the best practices for software registries and repositories. So I was going to ask whether did you have a chance to look at this practice and assess the compliance of the software directory against these practices. One of them is exactly what Hervé was asking for, which is the availability for like what is the usage licensing for the metadata that is within the platform, but there are others like the long-term regarding the long-term sustainability of the data and so on, right?
I have had a very quick look. So I did find it on your website. I had a very quick look. I could see that we are not complying to all of it, but I discussed it with the team, and we basically said, well, these are all really great elements to have a look at. So I've forwarded it to one of our engineers to do something about this. Yes, but it's really helpful. Yeah, it's really helpful for us to this list to really see, like, oh yeah, these are some of the things we hadn't even thought of ourselves. So so that's really great, and we will make sure that we will comply to them. Yes.
Well, that's great to hear, no? Because when we were discussing it, I think that was the direction. Like we wanted to guide rather than constrain or restrict.
Yeah, no, it's really really helpful. Yeah.
That's great. Thanks. So also a good set of questions. And Alexander, I see you have your hand up.
Yes, hi. Congratulations to the great tool. I'm very intrigued. I heard and read that you rely somehow on search engine crawlers to index the content of the directory, so people can find the servers and its records via search engines. The technical documentation says that you plan on implementing data scraping, which would benefit third-party discovery services. Can you share any information what that may look like? Will that be a standard protocol like OAI, PMH, or do you have other plans for harvesting protocols? to allow?
I think these are also great questions, but it's a little bit beyond my technical knowledge. So I think it's really, maybe you can. So I think we need the expertise of Jason here. You could perhaps put this email in this question in the email, and I'm sure that he can give you a better answer than I could come up with, because it's like, I don't know. I can't give you a precise answer to that. So please, if you wouldn't mind, it would also be helpful for us to have this question and to have to think about it. Yeah.
Oh,
Thank you.
And I think a lot of us would be interested in the answer too. So, and Moran, you have a question?
Yes, I have a question. So first, like everyone, I'm very impressed of the interface of the RSD. It really looks nice, and all the information on each record really is easy to see and use. One of my questions is about the export. So I saw there's code meta, so I'm very happy. I didn't check the code meta file, so I'm not sure what's properties are you using, but I did check the BibTeX file. And I saw that the type that you're using is a MISC type. Have you considered changing that to the software type in your roadmap, or do you know about the software BibTeX style?
No, I don't know, and I'm pretty sure that nobody in our team has thought of this or knows. So this is also a very good question and suggestion, because this is not something that we have a lot of expertise in. So I think you refer to the citation information and the export. I think that's just harvested straight from Zenodo. So I wonder how much we can change there, but
so I'm not sure you are. I think that the export you are creating, because some of the things are from Zenodo and some of the things are not from Zenodo. I'm not sure how. It's something to check up, and it's something that we are working with the CERN team to change their side as well. So if you are taking the citation directly from Zenodo, that's good, because then we are going to have the work done with Zenodo directly, and then you will be caught up with these improvements the same way we are doing with the Swedes as well. So to answer Daniel's comment, maybe if Zenodo is connecting to software heritage, then the RSD is going to show that as well. But I'm happy to open the communication lines resulting this call and see how we can improve this linkage more. So yeah.
It would be wonderful. Yes, thank you. Yeah, we would love that.
Awesome. Well, that was a great talk. Lots of wonderful questions. So thank you again.